Hi there. Thanks for waiting. Episode 1 of the Downright Frightening podcast is starting soon, so please sit down, strap in, and enjoy the ride.
Whoa! So this is Radioland, huh?
You got any idea how much blood jets out of a guy's neck in this explosions?
Are you weird?
Yes, I am weird.
Do you know what the most frightening thing in the world is? It's fear.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Oh boy. All right. So what's up, dude?
What's going on?
Oh, I just had to stretch it out real quick. I'm just so excited to be on our first episode. My body tensed up a little bit.
That's right. That's right. Full of excitement.
So we have been teasing you guys for a couple of weeks. So we appreciate everybody that has kind of joined the revolution and started watching what we're doing and being really patient, waiting for our first episode to drop. And we are finally at that point today.
Yep.
We are going to roll out the big numero uno with a movie that I was not aware of. I'm going to be completely honest. I had no idea that this movie existed. I personally own over 400 horror movies in my collection. I have seen thousands of movies, and I had never heard of this particular movie until I started researching for this podcast. What about you, Brother Cole?
Yeah, I had never heard of it. I mean, we know people who are in it, but I'd never actually heard of this movie before. And it might have been because it was from, made for TV movie before we were born. But
Yeah. Yeah. So 1975, Trilogy of Terror, made for TV movie starring Karen Black, rest in peace,
Yep.
and Robert Burton. So no offense to anybody involved, but if you're gonna advertise who's starring in a movie and it's your secondary one is Robert Burton, movie's a little bit thin. But but anyway, so Karen actually was approached to star in the movie, completely uninterested, and then they approached Robert, and at that point, good old Mother Firefly decided that she would take the plunge after Robert was cast. She actually stars in all 3 movies, and she fills 4 roles because there is a little bit of dual identity in the second piece.
yeah.
So normally what we're going to do second on every episode is we're going to let you guys hear the trailer for the movie that's the topic of discussion. This movie did not have a trailer. The best thing that we could find was a TV spot from 1981 from a Miami affiliate that rolled it out about 6 years after the original spot. So we're going to play that now, and you guys can, if you haven't seen it, maybe you'll get excited enough after hearing this TV spot and you'll want to watch it. So check it out.
Do I make you nervous, Doctor?
Karen Black, a major star, creates a television first.
There's a golden chain wrapped around it to keep the spirit from making the doll come to life.
Face to face with the unbearable unknown. Trilogy of Terror.
Okay, so that trailer, if I was watching that trailer, like if I was sitting at home enjoying a little dinner and I saw that movie was going to come on later that night, I would probably be like, well, yeah, I check that out. The TV spot was short and interesting enough that I would definitely I would stay up and see what that's about because that little doll on there during the preview, it's something you got to figure out. That is
Right.
an oddity.
Right. I mean, it's so interesting to me because, just 6 years after the movie was released originally, and you got to remember too, this is like pre VHS, pre DVD. If you didn't see it the first time that it was released, you may have never even heard about this movie. But it's funny that even with that being said, they knew that the third story, Amelia, was the most interesting of the three. So much so that they focused the entire TV spot on that episode. There's one small clip from the second story, but mostly it's all about Amelia, the story Amelia, and the doll. And like you said, if I see it, if I see that spot and I don't know the movie, I'm probably going to watch it. This is 1981. We're not going to be playing Call of Duty at 11:30 at night. We're going to be watching TV. So
Yeah,
I'm probably going to watch that. But if I could say this, wow, false advertising.
Oh my God, so much, bro.
Because if this thing goes off at so we're watching 11:30, movie's like an hour and 15 minutes. So say it's probably going to be 1:30 with commercials by the time it's over. I'm going to be so pissed that I stayed up and watched this thing.
For sure, because you're thinking, okay, you start out with the first story and you're like, okay, where's the doll? Where this thing,
so I thought this was a horror movie.
Yeah,
right?
this is hot garbage. What this is?
Yeah, it is like a 30-yard roll-off dumpster full of garbage. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first story. First story, I thought it was kind of slow, but like you said, you're easing into the first story. You're trying to figure out what is this? Okay, it's Karen Black. Cool. She's going to do something crazy. Where's Otis Driftwood? Where's Captain Spaulding? And then it's over. Now, the interesting thing to me, though, was that there was a twist, which ends up being, of course, that's kind of the theme of the whole movie, is that there's a little twist at the end of each one. But I thought that the twist was really interesting, but the build up to it was so poor. It was so poor.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean,
I felt like did you feel like where the commercial breaks, like you go into a commercial break, you come back, and it was almost like you were watching a different movie. So much shit had happened during the commercial break in the story, and you have no idea, like, what are you even talking about? It's been 2 months. It's been 3 months.
Like the time gaps in the first story were terrible because you start out with so the relationship between the two characters in this movie, the first one between the first commercial break and when they came back from that commercial break had shifted like a whole 180 degrees, and you don't even know why.
So now you're like, oh, okay, so I guess he's blackmailing her. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest mystery to me, though, and I think it's just because I'm a pervert, but he said, his note to her said, come over right after school. I've got some friends that I want you to meet. I want to know, what, that was one of the biggest things to me. Who are the friends? I mean, what? Yeah, but that was one of those things. Like, why even put that in the movie? And then I think from there it skipped months again, and the next time you see them, it's not even that day. It's not even right after school, and so the whole time, even all the way through the second story, I was still wondering. Well, I wonder who those friends were.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that was a pointless point in the movie. Like, I could see like how they were trying to show that he had control over her or whatever, but to write something like that and then not even like semi-show. I understand it's 1970s. The kind of stuff they were willing to put on TV is a lot different than what they're putting on TV now. but still, I mean, there's a way they could have gone about it where you could, they could have shown exactly what they were talking about and not gotten into in depth for TV. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like if I'm directing the movie, it's going to be on Cinemax first of all. And this first story, like you're not even going to be able to get through the first story because I'm gonna have so many offensive things in there. Like I'm probably
your version of that story. I feel like would not even be like daytime Cinemax. It would be like late night after midnight Cinemax.
Yeah, there's gonna be like genitalias getting shown for sure. But even going back to when it was originally on TV, you could have done something with that. And if you put that in the freaking movie and you don't even do anything with it, I just don't understand. That could have been a really disgusting point to the movie, and so instead, this toolbox, this dude's like 45 years old and he's in college, first of all, which is so strange. These dudes are so old. Didn't they have teenagers they could have cast in these roles?
I know.
They got these old ass dudes, right? And they could have really had something crazy with this. Like you could have just shown like the dude's apartment and had like 5 or 6 dudes like smoking cools, leaning up against the wall. Like you knew what was going to happen. You don't have to show it. I'm not saying there has to be a gangbang on it, but you could at least like show, a bunch of dudes outside the door, or like, maybe like a little peephole, something.
Yeah.
But they dropped the ball on that. But, as we come to find out, it's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah, for sure.
If I had to say, though, the second story, I mean, it's stupid. Honestly, that's the only 3 words. I'm just going to repeat one word 3 times because there's nothing else that I can even think of that would just properly describe this portion of the movie.
Oh man, if they had put that part of the movie at the beginning of the whole trilogy, nobody would have finished it.
No,
they'd have never made it.
It was so stupid, and I'm really disappointed in Karen Black for this part too. I mean, no disrespect,
Yeah.
but that was just poor execution all the way across the board. And when it's that bad, I have to blame the actors and actresses as well. I know that they're reading scripts and that they are following a storyline and there's a director and blah, 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 blah. I get that. But it's like when an artist comes out with a bad album, everybody in that band participated in making that piece of shit. So I have to blame everybody. That second story was stupid. It was terrible.
It was so bad. Like what was terrible is like when you started the second story, not even like 3-4 minutes into it, you already knew the plot of the entire movie. Like it was so easily, like you figured it out so quick that you were just waiting on it,
But what I thought was really weak was they pushed the envelope. They pushed the sexual envelope harder in the second story than they did in the first one when it really called for it in the first one.
Mm-hmm. They could have gone a whole different direction with the second one and made it more interesting and more like confusing. Because if you're gonna put a twist like that at the end, you gotta make it to where I can't figure it out. Like I'm thinking about it, but I can't quite put my finger on it till I get to the end.
And so what? I don't want to dwell on the second story. I mean, I don't want to like completely drive it into the ground, but yes, I do. Listen to this. Where did the voodoo doll come from? Okay, like there's no mention of a voodoo doll. All of a sudden, a voodoo doll shows up. Somebody's getting stabbed in the chest, and the doctor's like, like he knew it all along. Like, yep, it's that old voodoo doll. So stupid. So freaking stupid. And then they like tease us with what could have been, which was, oh shit, there aren't twins. Interesting. Mm-hmm. And then the show's over. I don't even know what else to say. That was terrible.
Yeah, I feel like these are the with the first two movies. Had they been their own movies and they could have expanded on it more, I feel like they would have been a lot better. But trying to tell what they were trying to tell in such a short period of time, they just didn't set it up right, and it could have been a lot better than it was.
It just really, I mean, nobody involved in this particular project was a slouch by any sense of the word. And so it just really makes me wonder, what was going on? Like, was it the network that was kind of getting more involved in what they should have been? Or, were they just young in the process and still, kind of figuring out what kind of movies they wanted to make? I don't know, but it was very uncharacteristic of the body of work for everybody involved. So the last but not least, the crutch of the entire movie, story number 3, Amelia. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Lil Wayne, made his acting debut as the Zuni fetish doll. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know that or not, but Lil Wayne at one point was Lil. He was about 8 inches tall. So that was pretty awesome to see him coming up like that, started from the bottom. Now he's here. But for me, unfortunately, it was strike 3 for the movie as a whole. Amelia just, again, they teased and like took little baby bites of story arcs and character arcs and did not follow through on any of them. And I think it's it's pointless to even start having your viewer think about certain aspects of your character and certain aspects of your story if you're not going to completely explore them. And I know that this is TV, and I know that time is limited, and you can only do so much or say so much, but don't even. There was some weird shit in that third story. Like, okay, why were the doors locked? Like, she was locked in that building. Did you notice that? Like, what was that all about? That was weird.
There's a lot
either she was handicapped, and that was just something they didn't tell us, or she was locked in that building. But she said it was a sublease, so she's basically like leasing somebody's house or their apartment while they're on an extended vacation. Why is she locked in the house?
Probably one of those care programs where you had to.
Well, there's probably 5 more minutes of the movie that they didn't get to put in, and there was going to be some big twist, like, oh shit, she's in a mental institution, or who knows?
Yeah.
But and then so she calls. This is so crazy. I gotta make sure I even like followed. So she called her mom and she says, I don't want to see you today. But then she calls her boyfriend, who she got the Zuni doll from. She got a headache. So apparently she got some kind of crazy headache disorder where she gets these migraines or something, because he was used to it. Because she says something like, oh, you called it or you guessed it or some nonsense like that. And then when she's well-ish at the end, she calls her mom. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I think you should come over.
Yeah, well, I think what was going on is like she usually spends time with her mom on Fridays, right? So, but she didn't want to because she wanted to go out with this dude. And then the dude expected her mom to get upset. And I think that's what that was about, because he was like, yeah, your mom's getting upset. Just spend time with her. We'll do this some other time. I think that's what I got out of it.
And the strange thing, the really, really strange thing for me in this story, but I guess, we shouldn't be, in 2019, we shouldn't be too surprised by it, because we've got 40-year-olds still living at home.
Oh, yeah.
But this lady was like 40. She was freaking 40.
Yeah, she had just moved out of the house from her mom. Yeah.
And so, why on earth? Karen Black was like 36 when this movie came out. Okay, so she was at the age where she could be playing, 36-year-olds, not like 20-year-olds. And that's what's so strange. You see that a lot in 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s with some of the slasher films, that these characters are old. They're old. And it's odd because why, if you're going to make a movie, here's a movie that I love, right? Friday the 13th. You make Friday the 13th, you got all these young actors that have never played in movies before. You got Kevin Bacon, right? Okay, Kevin Bacon at this time, I'm guessing, without looking at his birth year, he's in his early 20s. Okay, cool. He's playing like an 18-year-old. That makes sense. Karen Black, 36 years old, playing somebody probably in her 20s. It's just weird. I don't know what, I think in this, prior to some of the better made movies, they thought that if they hired these more established actors and actresses, that they could, that they could use their acting chops to kind of power through some of these scenes. But it's just so unnecessary. You waste a Karen Black, by putting her in a movie like this.
So they could have had Karen Black play the mother.
Yes.
Of the character that was getting attacked by the Zuni doll.
She could have been like this crazy, creepy, 36-year-old Mother Firefly, that's got a little bit she's a little bit of an airplane mom.
Or like a Kathy Bates,
Yeah. So to wrap up, the movie as a whole, now that I really know what a cult classic this movie's supposed to be, I mean, when you use the word cult, okay, so I always think this. So it's a cult classic, right? So who is the leader of the cult? I mean, is it David Koresh? Is it Jim Jones? Because these movies made me want to drink poison Kool-Aid. It was that bad. And I don't know what makes people, they get so wrapped up in it, but just, kind of the last couple of weeks reading people's comments, it's just funny. We planned to do this movie a few weeks ago, and I've been seeing in a lot of the groups, shout out to all the Facebook groups, but I've been seeing a lot of the groups, people have been asking about this particular movie, which is interesting because we were all kind of thinking about it. But why? Why? You're a grown-ass man or you're a grown-ass woman. You watch this movie, you know that it sucks.
You have to.
But you convince yourself that oh no, that's that movie. Oh shit, that Zuni doll scared me. Oh my god. You know why? I think it's because a majority of the fans right now, the generation, is at the age where maybe they saw that 1981 TV spot and they actually watched the movie then, and so their memories of the movie are when they were younger, and maybe they haven't seen it since. Maybe they're thinking
it's nostalgic.
Yeah, and they're thinking about what it was like when they were 10 years old, and they didn't care about who the gangbang friends were, or that the Zuni doll was Lil Wayne, or whatever. But
and that, let me say this about that last story, the Zuni doll portion of this movie. I feel like that when I saw that, I thought this must be what Chihuahua owners go through, because that's exactly what I was thinking this whole time. It's like a Chihuahua just trying to get, because they're vicious little dogs. What I picture is just a Chihuahua owner trying to get away from their dog.
I know, he was trying to get his nut, chasing her around the house, a little fetish,
little ankle biter.
Yes, it was ridiculous. I could tell you though, without a doubt, positively, it's one and done for me. I will not even expose my children to this. My 5-year-old is a humongous horror fan. My 11-year-old has been watching horror movies since he could talk. But there's no reason to waste their time showing them this movie. So to get Go ahead.
You don't want them being 45 going, that was a great movie.
I know that was such a fantastic. They could be showing their cheer-ins, Friday the 13th Part 20, but instead they're going to be showing them Trilogy of Terror. No, thank you. The sickening statistics for this putrid prize, though, are as follows: 4 perfectly played roles. Shout out to Karen Black. A very disappointing 2 corpses. I can't accept that in a horror movie. I got 2 dead bodies, and roughly an hour and 15 minutes. I can't handle that. For all the lefties out there, I'm gonna give several Me Too violations. I'm gonna hand out those violations. There were some perverse acts being portrayed at some points. 1 dual personality wacko. Story number 2. 1 Zuni fetish doll. And coming in at 72 minutes, it's not the biggest waste of time that I've ever sat through, but it is pretty damn close.
Mm-hmm.
On the gore score 1 through 10, I'm going to give it a 0.5. We had a little bit of blood, but not enough to even fill a teaspoon, I'm sure. So, moving along, though, I want to say, screw that movie. So, with Amelia being the biggest story, though, I think that we would be making a mistake if we didn't discuss haunted dolls. I think haunted dolls, possessed dolls, are a phobia for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people that don't even like dolls, being around them or whatever. We drive through the neighborhood. There's this crazy old lady. See, I don't even know if it's an old lady, but I'm thinking like there's dolls, crazy old lady. So there's a person, man, could be a woman, could be like 50-50. But
I don't know. What do you think's more creepy? An old lady having all these dolls or a grown man having all these dolls?
That's true. Well, speaking of, it's funny that you say that because you say a grown man, and of course, being in Las Vegas, very close proximity to Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum, which is awesome. There is a doll room, and in particular, my favorite, my fangirl moment of dolls is my old girl Peggy the doll. Peggy the doll is currently in the Haunted Museum. For anybody that doesn't know who Peggy the doll is, you need to step up your doll game. But first, but second of all, she's been around. She's currently in the museum, but she's been all over the place. A lot of people that know more than me about the subject feel like she is probably possessed by a spirit from somewhere in the 30s or 40s. Pretty twisted soul, but here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This little golden girl, when she was on television, they have to do disclaimers, right? That like, if you don't want to get fucked up, turn off the TV. You know what I mean? Like, change the channel if you don't want explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
And even when she was on YouTube, people watched a few years ago, there's like a YouTube video, and people watched the YouTube video. They got ill or had heart palpitations or whatever. But now that she's hopefully in her final resting place, because Zach's museum is so awesome. If I was a haunted wearer, I'd want to be in there. But if you go to see her, you have to sign a freaking waiver before you even get to see this old beauty.
Oh man, like I don't know if like signing the waiver. Like I kind of wonder if like, we'll make them sign a waiver. It kind of amps it up a little bit, or if like they're actually like, since we've had this doll here, there's been some crazy stuff. But I will say that I watched the YouTube video that everybody was saying there was like 80 people watched this video and they started feeling ill. They started having chest pains. And I just want to say right now, you can mark that number up to 81 because I watched this video and I was thinking, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I've never, like, the more you because the video itself is this girl in this dark room, candles lit, and Peggy the doll sitting there, and Peggy the doll's facing directly at the camera, right? She's sitting between these 2 candles. So you're watching this video and you're like, she's talking to Peggy. She got her little meter up there so it lights up when Peggy's in the room, and you're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then the longer I watched it, I was like, I don't know if it was just like my brain thinking there's people getting sick off this video. Do I feel a little sick? Am I feeling a little something weird right now? So,
Hey, you know I'm a believer, so I'm gonna err on the side that like you got a little bit of touch of the death from Peggy.
I got Peggy touched me.
I think so. Me too. Hashtag.
Yeah. Oh man.
What about you? What do you think if you had to nail down like a favorite or like a couple of favorites? Because because Peggy doesn't have the fanfare of some of the other ones.
No, I mean, well, we got to talk about, there's the, I think right now the most famous haunted doll, the Annabelle doll, which it doesn't look like what the movies show. It's actually like a Raggedy Ann doll, that's made this kind of story. It's right now, if you want to see that Annabelle doll, you can see it at the Warren Occult Museum. I mean, Ed and Lorraine Warren, we all know about them, the famous psychic paranormal investigators associated with Amityville Horror, and a lot of movies have come out of the things that they did. Annabelle, like I said, the Amityville Horror, good Lord, The Conjuring, all these movies came from the stuff they did. But that doll, I think, is the most famous right at this moment. But I think Robert the doll is probably my favorite. Robert the doll is creepy, but I think it's my favorite because it inspired one of my favorite movies as a kid, which was the Child's Play movies.
Right.
And Chucky, because Chucky had a hold on my mind for so long because I was so scared of Chucky.
I'm gonna give Bobby some love too, because I mean, if you put, they're all pretty damn creepy, like the actual versions, not the Annabelle, like the movie version, like the actual Annabelle, and Peggy and Robert. Robert looks, I mean, he looks like he got shot in the face with a shotgun, first of all. So like that, if somebody got shot in the face with a shotgun, like I don't want to know their story. Like I don't want no part of it, So when I look at Robert, I'm like,
Robert looks like Chucky doll after Chucky 3 when he got sent into the fan.
Yes.
Yes. So, and what the thing about Robert is, like, there's so much lore around Robert. Like they say that he has caused like broken bones and all these different terrible, like, job loss and divorce and and car accidents and
that's what I'm talking about. Bobby doing work.
Bobby's doing work. Now, if you compared Bobby and Peggy, now Peggy can get you through the TV apparently, so she may have a little more power than old Bobby, but I think Bobby is probably my favorite. But there's so many of them. There's like these.
I mean, you could go on and the thing is like, I think if you read every story, if you had a list of like 10 haunted dolls, and you went through, you read one a day, right? Let's just say you had like 10, you read one story a day. Every day, the story that you read, you'd be like, oh shit, that's the one.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's one of those things that just plays on, whether people want to admit it or not, it plays on everybody's fears. The idea that you've got something in your house that's supposed to be pretty unassuming, but it'll cut your nuts off if you're not watching.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's interesting that you brought up Chucky, because Chucky making headlines lately. 2 new occurrences of old Chuck, one on Sci-Fi and one on the big screen. The only disappointing thing for me, I don't want to go too far deep into it because we're still a ways away. We got a lot of more information to find out about it, but it does not seem like that this is Charles Lee Ray. It seems like this is a like a robot or some sort of toy gone awry. But I don't get the feeling, at least from watching some of the TV spots, that this is going to be like a possession case, which I love the idea of bringing it back, and I love the idea of making it great again. But don't screw with a haunted doll and make it artificial intelligence gone bad or some bullshit like that. I need Charles Lee Ray. Period.
Yeah, when I was watching the TV spots on the trailer for it, I got the feeling that they took Child's Play and they mixed it with Small Soldiers, that kids movie. Like they put those two together, and that's what we're gonna get. But we'll
Here's
see.
something strange to me. One more note on that. Why is the Andy character like 15 years old? Why is he getting a doll? First of all, this dude should be driving a car. He should be getting like his first car. He got a doll.
You should. When I watched the trailer, he didn't seem that old to me. I mean,
I thought he looked old as hell. I mean, Andy in Child's Play 1, Andy is like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This kid was like at least like 10. If I got my 11-year-old a doll, it would be a bad day. It'd be a bad day to be my son.
Yeah, the actor Gabriel Bateman, who's going to be playing him, is 13, so he's definitely out of the range of dolls you would think. But I mean, in the times that we live now, who knows? People are babying their
doll.
Yeah, people are still breastfeeding their kids at 10 years old. So,
what are you streaming right now? What's your streaming delight?
What my streaming delight is right now is coming to Netflix is Jaws 1 and 2. Those are both classic horror movies, and I love them. I love it because there's something about the ocean and being in the ocean and not knowing what's in there, especially living in Texas. Our beaches are. You live in the northern Gulf of Texas. There's dirty water, so you can't see anything in it. So
no doubt.
Just knowing that there's should be sharks or a kraken out there is just terrifying when you're out there on the water. So those are two that I'm ready to relive again, on the Netflix side.
That's like legit movie making. You talk about Jaws 1 and 2, you compare that to what we just watched, and you will understand the harshness that I have bestowed on Trilogy of Terror. Yeah, Trilogy of Terror is more in the realm of Jaws 4. I don't know if you ever saw Jaws 4, but it portrays a young man, a strapping young man with a fake Jamaican accent. Anyway, I would compare those two more. Jaws 1 and 2, classics, still scare people. I know people that don't even go in the water because of those movies. Great movies. My streaming delight is none other than the 1996 classic, Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yes.
Love Dusk Till Dawn. Two brothers, crazy as all hell. They end up being vampire slayers. Ended up being vampire. One of them, Quentin Tarantino, becomes a vampire. Looks like a monkey, but he's a vampire. You might think it was an ape, but he will bite your throat. Go to Mexico's most violent and depraved watering hole, the Titty Twister. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. Anybody that can't get down with Dusk Till Dawn doesn't have a place in my heart. I'm going to tell you right now, because this movie is the perfect marriage of Tarantino's writing and Robert Rodriguez's directing. Mm-hmm. George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
And you can't forget my man Cheech Marin.
Yeah, actually Cheech plays at least 2 roles in that movie also. And you've also got Tom Savini, the godfather of modern monster makeup, the best to ever do it. You've got just all kinds of people. You've got people in this movie that are barely even credited that could hold the lead role in a movie. Great movie. Great movie. I love it. If you haven't seen this movie, I hope that you choke. But before you do, you could go check it out on Netflix right now. So finish listening to this, and if you haven't watched Dusk Till Dawn, go check it out. You will not regret it. Currently in theaters, we got Happy Death Day 2. I saw the first trailer for this movie probably 6 months ago, before anybody listens to this and says like that movie wasn't even on trailer 6 whatever. Okay, it was like 6 months ago. I didn't say it was like 6 months ago. I I think actually, I think I saw the trailer to this before Halloween, Halloween 2018. So somewhere, whenever that was opening, I saw Halloween on opening night. So whenever that was, that's when I saw Happy Death Day to You. I'm watching this trailer and I'm thinking it looks whack because I hate modern horror movies. Anybody that says, well, I don't know why they always remake everything. Well, because let me tell you why. Because the people that have somehow been blessed with the opportunity to write and direct the modern horror movies, I don't know how they've been made. I have 2 screenplays, by the way, just saying, 2 copywritten screenplays. Anybody wants to make those movies, shout out, let me know. Anyway, people that are making these movies, they're trash. You can't be worried about what the commies in Hollywood are going to be thinking about you when you make horror movies. And the movies now are so watered down and they're so stupid, and they're more worried about covering their bases with how many of each race they have in them, how many men they have in them, how many women they have in them, who dies first, who doesn't, if there's a rape scene, if there's a sex scene. They're worried about too many things. So they suck. That's why people have to remake movies, because they don't know how to make good movies anymore. So
you know who's not remaking movies? It's Rob Zombie. Because
that's right.
He's got it down pat.
That's right. See, like Rob Zombie. See, here's the thing. Rob Zombie remade Halloween 1 and then came up with his own envision of Halloween 2. Was not a remake of Halloween 2. I would say, if anything, it was a remake of part 1, and then he just made a part 2 to his movie. People shit on those movies. But if you're shitting on Halloween 2, okay, I'll give you that. That movie was terrible. I hated it. Like, I saw it in theaters. I hated it. Halloween 1, I saw that in theaters probably 3 times. Before you say anything stupid, I have seen the original Halloween over 100 times. It's one of my favorite movies. The Rob Zombie version was a good movie. You better be glad that Rob Zombie remade that movie, because what else came out that year that was worth a shit? Nothing.
Yep.
So Rob Zombie can do that because he has his own trilogy. Movie number 3 coming soon. He's got a wide breadth of movies that you can go watch. If he wants to remake Halloween, he can remake Halloween. So I'm watching Happy Death Day to You trailer thinking that it was bogus. About halfway through the trailer, I started to realize that it was kind of an interesting concept. And I was actually pretty interested in seeing the movie after the fact. I did not know, however, stupid me, like I said, total disrespect to modern horror movies. I'm not even going to pretend that I care. Total disrespect. I did not know that there was a part 1. Okay. So now that that's out there, we just lost all of our fans age 13 to 20. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't know that there was a part 1. Okay. So whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about that little cinematic gem?
I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm definitely watching the trailer. I watched it and I was like, I was like you. I was not sure about it at first, but the story they're trying to run with sounds good. And I watched the trailer for the original, which is Happy Death Day. And it's like the horror movie version of Groundhog's Day.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
So it's a college student relives the day of her murder over and over again in a loop until she can figure out who her killer is, and so that's the original Happy Death Day. And the Happy Death Day 2 is a continuation of that. Same girls in it, Tree Gelman. She discovers that dying over and over, real surprising, easier than the dangers that lie ahead, right? That's the description I got. So basically, she's reliving this day, but her friends aren't her friends anymore, and then her friends start getting killed off, apparently. So I want to see what happens. I'm going to watch the original, and then I'm going to watch the second one. I may go see it in theater, probably not. I'll probably wait till it comes out on,
That's right.
Stream or DVD or whatever. Red
Shit,
box
I'll-
it,
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll do that. I might download that joint. I didn't say that. So that's Happy Death Day to you. That is in theaters now. You can go check it out if you would like. If you do go see that movie and you want to tell us how wrong we are, you can let us know at downrightpodcast@gmail.com. Next episode be coming up in short order. The only thing I want to tell you about the next episode is 3 words, and you can figure it out. If you're a true fan of horror, you'll be able to narrow it down to just a few movies when I give you this little hint. Tom freaking Atkins. So take it in, think about it. We've already started pre-production on that episode. It's going to be a great episode. It's going to piss a lot of y'all off and really get your juices flowing when we hit you with that one. But that pretty much wraps up this first episode. I want to thank everybody for their patience and sticking around while we got this one together. If you have any comments or feedback, like I said, please email us at downrightpodcast@gmail.com, and we would be eternally grateful if you would like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Downright Podcast. Brother Cole.
That's right. And one more thing, if you do come across and become in possession of a haunted doll, just go ahead and put that sucker on eBay and make you some money off of it, and don't keep it in your house.
That's right. Send it to Zach Baggins. You can find his email somewhere on the net. Find it. Call the Haunt Museum. Do not bring that joke in your house. See you guys next time. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Ghosts.
Take it off the air now, please.
It can't end.
Stop it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it.
Mr. Pop.
Stop it. Stop it.
Eat.
Stop it. Stop it.